do it.
All right. Hey, I'm Krista Wax. You are listening to MSP Sound on KFAI, and I have the Catalina here, joined via Zoom. Hey.
Hey,
What's
Hey, how
up?
you doing?
Hey, guys. How are you?
doing good.
Great. Thanks so much for joining me.
Yeah, you are welcome.
Why don't
Yeah,
y'all take
thanks.
a second? Oh, Zoom's so tricky. It's so fun, isn't it?
It's so great. I love it.
Yeah, I know, right? Why don't y'all take a second, introduce yourself, and say like kind of what you do in the band?
Yeah, I can go first. My name is James, and I sing for the Catalina, and I also play guitar. And then obviously, I think all of us are pretty much involved within the writing process. Yeah.
I'll go next.
Yep. And my name's Justin. I play guitar, and yeah, as well as involved in the writing process. And just we each have different roles. Obviously, with being a band that's just starting out, you kind of have to do things that maybe aren't your specialty or something you're really good at, but you kind of have to get good at. So
Yeah, I'm Adam. I play drums. That's it. I'm just kidding. Yeah, no. We're like James said, we're all equally involved in songwriting and all that jazz. But yeah, play drums.
All right, awesome. So you all say that you're part of the songwriting. How does your songwriting process kind of work, or how did it work with putting together this album?
Yeah, so this was obviously like our first time getting a run at that. So it's been kind of interesting. I think we've come from a lot of different backgrounds, like writing in the past, and we've each kind of gone through the whole process of like writing, just sitting at a piano and like pouring it out. And we've also sat like with a guitar in our hands and tried that. Ultimately, what kind of happened with this one is my most comfortable way of starting things is to kind of just sit down with a computer and just to produce stuff out. And we get like a demo and then kind of spell it out, produce it a bit, and then we end up kind of throwing vocals on last, which has been an experience in itself. So that's kind of how the process for this one largely went. Was I think we ended up releasing 5 songs on this EP, and I would guess that we had somewhere around like 20 song starts. So we're just trying to do the best that we can to try and override and make sure that we're releasing songs that we feel passionate about. And then it keeps us from wasting a bunch of time, which is great. Like sitting there working on a vocal line for something that we know that's never going to get released. But yeah, we did that, and then we take it to a producer that we work with named Jack Vonderchek, who is at Tangerine Studios. Shout outs to Jack. We love Jack. He's the greatest. And we hang out in studio with him, and he helps us kind of finish putting some production bows on it for the things that we're missing. And then it gets mastered and gets thrown out there. So.
Wow. Was this all done? I mean, obviously, we can't hide around that we have COVID. I'd love to pretend like that's not happening right now. But how did that affect the process of putting together this album, or didn't it? Or was everything kind of in the can before we were not together?
Adam, you can take that one.
Yeah. Luckily, we started this process a tiny bit before COVID happened. So we had a few song starts and like kind of knew what our first maybe 2 to 3 songs for sure were going to be long before COVID ever hit. So that was really nice to have like at least a base. The thing that did get affected by COVID was when we needed to go into the studio and start actually laying down drums or vocals or whatever. That started to get a little dicey because there was some shelter in place stuff going on. So it was like, are we allowed to go out and do this? Like there were some of those things that we had to wrestle with, but we ended up like working around those. And luckily the shelter in place, I think, was only 2 weeks here in Minnesota. So there was like a 2-week stretch that we got halted, but that was no big deal. So we worked around it. And other than that, like the majority of our process like has only involved 3 to 4 to 5 people in a room at once. So we've been able to maintain pretty flawlessly, except for those like 2 or maybe it was 3 weeks that we were under like legit shelter in place. But yeah, it's been pretty easy actually as far as COVID goes.
Okay. Wow, that's good. And thanks for putting out some new music during this time. We totally need like new tunes and stuff to jam out to. I was listening to the album earlier today and I really, really enjoyed it. Like that fun, like pop sound is bobbing my head and, you know, doing all the things. And also I think maybe just because it's coming out in fall, it's like, this is a great like fall pop album. I don't know if it was just the change in the air where I'm just like, it's coming out in fall. This sounds very fall-like.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
How about, well, let's just talk about the album in general. We've talked a lot about behind the scenes so far. Just how did you end up being like, you know, we're just going to put it out? Street date is October 9th, right?
October 8th.
October 8th.
Yeah, you're great.
As we were talking earlier off mic, I have no clue about dates. They are arbitrary. And it's like throwing a dart at a wall.
Yeah.
It's cool. I think the process for everything, like the formation of said band, the Catalina, because this is our debut release. I mean, we've released 3 singles up to this point, and now this is like the first just little set of songs, like EP, and obviously we're working on more, and that'll be coming out, you know, we're working on it, and it's not far away and stuff, but the whole process of like the Catalina started about like a little bit after this time last year. Was like the first time where the thought was actually like brought into our mind. Granted, we didn't have any music at that point. We didn't start this band with like a pool of music that we were just waiting to release. We started it from scratch and then wrote from scratch. But it's kind of funny that you say that it's like, it's such a nice fall album, because so many of like the starts of a lot of these songs ended up happening in like October and like November of last year. I think was the first studio date that I was with Jack. I'm pretty sure it was November. And that was actually for Hindsight, which we've released already as a single. And then just the release dates with all the things that we've had to do behind the scenes to make sure that we're doing it right has pushed it this far forward. And yeah, I guess we took our time. We wanted to make sure that we did things right and had like a good launch and made sure that we got our music out to all the people that we wanted to get it out to. But yeah, it's funny you say that because it's a fall thing. It's kind of weird. It's kind of almost full circle. We're getting close to the first birthday. So.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, crazy.
That is funny. But there is something like like I know there's kind of like summer pop that comes out. There's like, it has like a certain sound, but this has autumn pop. I'm going to make it a thing. You made it
Definitely.
I'm going to coin it.
It's always been like, it's funny because it's been a goal, and like Adam and JJ can both attest to this. Like we're all like, JJ's a phenomenal guitar player. Adam's a phenomenal drummer. He's also a phenomenal keys player. And then I would barely call myself that, but we've always talked about one of the like characteristics of our music that is important to us in composition is actually the word color. When we pick the way that we place chords together in terms of arrangement, it's our number one goal not to be simple. It's our number one goal to have like full of emotion and full of color in musical terms, which usually just means that you're using like complex chords. Like there's a lot of tension that eventually gets resolved. And I don't know, maybe there's a bit of color per se in the fall of how it's released, but like it's definitely like looking at a fall tree where you've got like a bright shade of yellow and a dark shade of orange and all this emotion that's kind of just in this one song, if that makes sense. Yeah,
it does make sense. I love it. So how did you all come together and say, you know, we're the Catalina, this is what we do, autumn pop?
Yeah.
Well, I can speak only for my end, and James could speak more into this. So we were all playing together already at a church, and we loved what we were doing, and we wanted to keep doing it outside of church. And so we wanted to start this band, and James kind of just led the way, coming out of he went to a show and just loved it and wanted to do more of what he heard. And we all had kind of this urge inside of us to do more than what we were doing. And so out of that, we all kind of felt like we were in the same place where we just felt like, you know what, I think we could do this and we could do more and be more. And so that was what it was all about. And that's how, that's how it kind of formulated. And it was really natural. I feel like it wasn't forced at all. It just felt right, and the time felt right.
We get some JJ's.
I'm sorry, we got a dachshund here that needs attention.
Yeah. Can I ask him some questions? No.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Cute.
Yeah.
Oh, always fun
We
to
were
get a surprise gift. Yes.
We were all like so close as friends, I think, coming into this anyway. I know Adam and I had already had discussions, and I eventually went on to have them with JJ too, because it was the truth. It's not the order of the conversations didn't dictate the order of importance, but Adam and I had a conversation in like September of last year where we just knew that we wanted to make music, and that's a very personal thing for us because it's something that we take very seriously. Like it is our life, and like it's our livelihood. And we just kind of said to each other, like, if we're going to make music professionally, like you're the only person that I want to do it with.
Oh.
And we had made that decision kind of before the name and before a song had even started. And then we went on to have that conversation with JJ and eventually made that decision as well. And then the first demo got sent out, which is hilarious to go back and listen to. Because it was a song that we did release, but you go back and listen to it and it's almost unrecognizable. But I think for us, like we do call each other like brothers consistently. And like, we tell each other that we love each other. Like we're very close. And for us, it was just kind of a no-brainer. First of all, because of how close we are and how much respect we have for one another. And like, if you're going to do something that's very difficult to do, we wanted to do it with one another. But also just the fact of like, these are the two best musicians that I think I know. So it was kind of a no-brainer for me. It's you're really blessed when you get to call your two best friends also probably the two best musicians that you get to play with. And it stunk because of COVID. We haven't gotten to play music live together for God knows how long, but we're itching for indoor shows to come back and to be able to do our debut release show and plan that sucker and have it rip. So
Yeah, that's awesome. That's great. That is very rare to say that about your best friends and the best musicians. Even better. Let's talk about the single, Love Somebody. Tell us a little bit about that track.
Adam, take it.
Oh boy. That was, so Love Somebody was, well, actually, James, you might have to correct me. Was technically the second song that we ever worked on. Hindsight was the first. So Hindsight was kind of a song that James was working on his own, and then later obviously brought it to the table and we finished it. But Love Somebody was the first one that I think we kind of started collectively, or like at least the band was formed when we started working on it. So to me, that song is just a fun, I like that you're saying it's an autumn pop song. Like I love that. So I can totally like hear that now that I'm kind of thinking of it. But it's fun. It's happy. It really represents, I think, a lot of who we are as people and our goal for how we want to live our lives, which is kind of capitalized on in the chorus. And the context of the song is obviously talking about a girl, and it's in this, cute like hypothetical story of like this girl that you see on the 4th of July and she's with her friends and you want to go say hi but you're afraid and blah blah blah. And then the chorus says like, I just want to love somebody and I just want to dance all night and all this stuff. So that's like the situation and the context that we're using to talk about it, but really kind of like the deeper behind the scenes thing that we all feel as people is we just want to be loving people, not even romantically, but just like to the world. There's a lot of hate, there's a lot of violence, there's a lot of messy things that can be crummy, and we just want to be loving people and we just want to be kind to everyone, and romantically, and we love that scene too. But yeah, so I just think I love the tone that we've achieved. Like, and Jack, man, is literally the perfect guy for us right now. Like, he has made just the emotion and the vibe of that song truly come to life through what he can do. And these two dudes, James and Justin, like every aspect of the vibe of that song, it just like came together so well with the lyrics. And yeah, I like it. I think it's cool.
Works so well too to have that, like, that is like kind of a mantra for us for this first EP round, is like we're a very like, yeah, I don't know, it represents who we are as people. And at the end of the day, it made a lot of sense for us to release that as our very first single, because it's the first thing that's going to be stamped on a shirt that we sell is Love Somebody. And like, we want that to be a takeaway for a lot of people. And even though sometimes it's romantic and we're going to write songs about heartbreak, like that's what we want our fans to do. Like we just want to see that in our fan base eventually someday. That's got to be a huge goal for us. Yeah, I think too, like in the writing of that song, I will say one thing that's interesting is like, I think Adam and I had a lot of discussions, I think before like JJ was with us, which was the darkest of times, and now it's the greatest of times. But we had a lot of conversations about like how much we miss the way that music used to be. And I don't mean this in any way of disrespect to anybody that's out making music now, that's pop music and doing it phenomenally well, because at the end of the day, I'm a fan of all music. I have my music that I like, but whatever. Anyway, with that being said, like I go back and I fall in love with 80s music. I fall in love with 70s and 90s. There's so much emotion and like the color of chords. It's not simplistic and it's not simple. It's not reusable or recyclable. It's all stuff that was written with the most intention possible down to the last note. The synth solos and everything that they did is phenomenal. So we're constantly just asking ourselves when we write music, like, how do we take this modern pop song while we're trying to keep it condensed and keep it to a formula, but also try and draw the most emotion possible, make it sound original, and like just really pack it with what I said, like color. And I think Love Somebody, I remember the night that I was sitting in my bedroom, I was sitting in this chair, and like I just pretty much started out like a session in like Pro Tools or Ableton or something, and like by the end of the night, like the entire the entire structure of the song was done, and like the guitars were like done. And it sometimes you just hit that moment of inspiration where you're just in the right emotional state where you can pretty much just throw up into a computer and it works. And I don't know, I just think that song, like everything just kind of worked out right. And yeah, we've heard it way too many times by now, but I don't think I get sick of it because it is what we stand for. It's what Justin stands for. It's what Adam stands for. And it's what the Catalina stands for. So.
Wow, that's so much. I love it. I love that track. I love that you're saying love somebody in just not romantic way. We need more of that right now. So I'm so happy that that's the message that you really want to send out there, because it's really tough times. And that's kind of what we all need to remember is just love somebody, be kind, be loving. And there's nothing wrong with that. Please.
Yeah.
We need all those good vibes, but
yeah, is what you're saying.
Right.
You,
but yeah, and yes, I definitely get a touch of those like 80s pop vibes listening to the album, which I love. You got me when you said 80s pop, and it's like you must know that that's my obsession. But it is. That's always like the best style of music, in my opinion. There's a lot of great music.
I spent all of last Saturday listening to a live performance of Rosanna by Toto for like
I love that.
Until the day I die.
Trying to think what 80s song I've been obsessed with lately. I think I'm really obsessed with When in Rome, The Promise. You could never get tired of that song, or like Wang Chung Dance Hall Days. Those are like...
I've been also going back and listening to Let's Hear It for the Boy from Footloose. Yeah. Dude, dang.
That's a great track.
Yep. That's my favorite. It's my favorite stuff.
Mine too, yes. So tell me about your 5-year plan. I'm just kidding. Let's just kidding. What else is going to happen with the Catalina? I know like things are kind of tough and you can't do a live performance like you'd want to, but what are y'all up to?
Which one do you want that one?
Yeah. Meeny, meeny, miny, mo.
JJ, you got it.
Yeah, so we're definitely still busy. We're working on a lot of things. We are constrained, of course, because of the situation that the world is in. And we do want to do an album release, and we want to do it right. And we'd love for everybody to join us that they could. So we're still waiting to see kind of what's going on with that and shows and touring. Obviously, for everybody, that's all up in the air right now. And we don't want to leave any stone unturned as far as the possibilities there. So we're still deciding. But we're working on even more music, a lot more videos, more content. Like James said, we'll probably be doing some merch soon. getting that rolling at least online, so that people that listen to us can support us in whatever capacity they see fit, whether that's listening on Spotify or buying merch. So there's a lot of outlets that we're going to be taking advantage of in this season. It's just real tough. And I'm sure you know that, but we're just trying to find the best way to do this that's safe for everybody, but also beneficial for the band too.
I like it. I know I was going to ask about merch because James is rocking an awesome hat with a Catalina on it. Where can people get that yet? Or are you just teasing it, just kind of throwing it out there?
He just made one for himself.
Actually, a funny story about that. I'll come back to it. We have merch that's coming out this Thursday, actually, is the very first thing. So people can watch for that. It'll be on our website at thecatalinaband.com. You can order everything online and we'll ship it. Funny story about making the only beanie. My Christmas gift last year for my girlfriend, she went on Etsy and she printed me a Catalina hoodie, a one-of-a-kind Catalina hoodie that I have in my closet. And it was before our band was called The Catalina. It was just Catalina. And I still wear it like every day. It's got roses down the side, which is like right down my wheelhouse. So.
Ooh, I want one.
I know. I don't know where to go. It was my surprise Christmas present, so she's on board.
That's fantastic. All right, so that album drops next week. So people can stream it and purchase it. Let's see, I have mine. Yeah. Oops, that's the back. I'm awesome. I have mine. Thank you. So people can get it on the website, people can stream it everywhere, Bandcamp,
Yeah, we will have hard copies available on the site the day of release, just along in our store, like with our merchandise and everything and all of our functioning, whatever. And then, yeah, Spotify, Apple Music. I mean, it's going to be pretty much everywhere that you can buy music. Obviously, as a band, like we love it when people stream on Spotify just for our sake. And then available in iTunes for purchase. Digitally, I think you'll be able to purchase it wherever you want, but there will be some hard copies available, limited hard copies, but we can always, we might be printing more. We'd love to do vinyl someday too, just because we're, 20, 25, 26, 24. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, there will be hard copies available online that people will be able to purchase if they want a hard copy, if they feel like it's something they want to be able to hold on to, but it'll be everywhere digitally as well. So.
Okay. Awesome. Guys, anything else?
No, we're excited. It's so fun. It's so nice to finally be able to have October 8th, like in our sight line. And obviously we're ready to just like celebrate the fact that this chapter, like the first chapter is essentially written for what we're doing. And we still have like a whole book to go. Like we've got goals and we're very committed to doing this, which is something that's been awesome. But I think we're all just we're ready for the next page, which starts oddly enough on October 8th is when we start the next chapter of our music. That's our first studio date for what's next. So we've been working really hard. COVID's been a blessing and a curse. And the blessing is, we've got plenty of backlogged music here where we're ready to be working on it. And we're just ready to be able to kind of trickle stuff out during the winter and things like that. So even though the EP releases on October 8th, people can find us on Instagram at _Catalina. And then we have a Facebook page as well. And we announce everything that we release well ahead of time for people to be able to pre-save it and do all those types of things. But there will definitely be more music coming in the coming months, pretty much immediately after October. We're not planning on taking a huge break before the next thing. It's going to be pretty constant. So if people want to keep up with us, social media is great. They can reach out to us and we'll respond and everything.
All right. Love it. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining me. Excuse me.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Congrats on the album. And yeah, catch the Catalina. They are streaming everywhere. Look for the merch on the website. I'm going to get one of those hats.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to figure out how to get one of those sweatshirts, even though it's not.
We have new sweatshirts. We got sweatshirts for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
On Thursday, you'll like the other ones a lot better. They're beautiful. And they have the love somebody. If you're behind that message, you'll like it even more.
Okay. Well, some great stuff. All right. Well, fantastic. Yeah. Follow them on social media. And yeah, thanks so much.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks. but like, don't leave. We're not done yet.
Oh, this is chapter 2, like you were talking about. All right.